So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Good of the Whole Global Resonance Call. And this is such an opportunity, as we were sharing, to just come into this unified field and be restored and be nurtured and simply receive so that you can be filled up as a chalice of love and have so much more to give to whatever projects or community groups that you are, or just simply to yourself. So we invite you to put yourself on mute as you're coming in. And this call was really inaugurated for most of us on January 1st as a part of the 7 Days of Rest. And now we're just continuing every Monday to share in this, really come to this oasis. And for those that are new, just a quick understanding of this call. The way this call works is simply, it's a totally participatory call. And we invite you to come either on the computer or on your phone and to be in this resonant field with us, to allow us together to feel in to the field herself and listen to what's emerging as we receive the information from this emergent field. So when you're not speaking, we invite you to put yourself on mute, and I'll open up. I'm Shelley Darling, and founding steward of Good of the Whole, and excited to be here with all of you. And I wanted just to open with a heart resonance. We always open with a centering, and then I'll share a little bit about Good of the Whole, and then we'll open the field to everybody here for the next hour. And I'll share just a few guidelines after the resonance to help support us building this coherent experience. And with that, we'll just invite everyone to simply bring all aspects of self here and to open your breath, to receive, to relax your body. Today's call and inspirational theme is 3 eyes open wide. So we'll dive deeper into that in a moment. So simply relaxing into your body, connecting with your heart. Sometimes it's a really beautiful experience to just put your hand or hands on your heart, as long as you're not driving. And here we come in and we're attuning to the heart of creation itself. Call it the unified field or source. It's a liquid experience of love, always informing. And we're just breathing into that. I'm just inviting everyone to put yourselves on mute as we're just doing this centering and dropping into the field of this experience, this practice of resonance as a coherent whole. And simply opening to receive through the in-breath and letting go, just like that field of influence, this infinity pool of resource and information and love and light. And this morning, just taking a moment to tap into the silence. So yes, it's a point of stillness, but it's always a moving field. And as we just drop deeper in through each breath, we experience this dynamic process, this communion of self and other, and this sense of connection. We begin this call in gratitude and appreciation for everything that's moving, knowing that it's always recalibrating into the highest potential for ourselves and humanity. And we give great honor to each other and respect. And we feel this morning our deep connection to the earth. We breathe deep in to her soil. Breathe up that warmth as we connect. Fully. So with that, we just come fully present. And I just want to make sure I got a message. Can people hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. Great. So welcome everyone who's come on this call to our Global Heart Resonance call. And we always begin with a little centering. And here we're just diving into this unified field of love. And this call is hosted by Good of the Whole. And simply that we're just planetary stewards committed to the good of the whole, listening and speaking from our hearts, and intentionally here this morning expanding this resonant field of love. Our shared purpose is to contribute to a shift in mass consciousness and transcending really the worldview of fear and scarcity and separation into love, abundance, and wholeness. And we are whole beings contributing to and in service of a greater whole. This morning, this public resonance call is really a gathering at the watering hole, opening to being revitalized and nurtured through conscious conversation, through the resonance in this circle. This morning, our call is, our inspirational theme is 3 eyes open wide. And we are aware of our 2 eyes, and many of us know about our 3rd eye. And in some realms, the 3rd eye is also understood as the higher heart. So it's just simply opening to this greater presencing of love that we are. And together we amplifying this field, we're amplifying this field for us to reap the benefits, harvest this conscious co-creative space together. So a few simple guidelines for those that are new. And then I will read into the field a quote. And this is the opportunity becomes for us as you feel it to share into the field your essence, what's coming through you as the experience of love and wisdom to the whole. So, a few simple guidelines. To really hold the energy intention of resonance as we access the field of our collective intelligence. So with many of us, we're understanding this, that there is a home frequency, a frequency that settles the body, that allows this spontaneous opening. And that's really the intention of this call, is to hold that frequency for each other. That we come together to consciously listen and to follow the thread of conversation as it's moving in present time. To speak from essence, from your heart to the whole. Now, there's a tendency to get really excited because you're going to hear something that someone says and your focus is just going to go directly to that person or want to share something in response to that person. And on this call, this is a little tidbit, a little golden nugget, is to just understand that we want to keep as if we were in a circle, even though this is a pattern quilt for those of you that are being able to see each other. We are in this conscious circle, speaking to the whole, speaking to the center. So the invitation here is to understand it's a movement of energy and not to speak directly in response to what someone's saying. Take that in, breathe that in. And this is where the pause comes in. We really honor the pause, the silence in between each sharing, the liminal space, because it's within this space that the information comes. So there's all kinds of incredible circles in the world, and we're seeing more and more of them. This particular one is to focus on the emerging field of consciousness, of our collective awareness. And to speak 1 to 2 minutes, as you see, this call is going to be growing and growing, and not everyone's going to get a chance to speak. But just trust that knowing that if it's your turn, you will be able to come in and grab the crystalline talking stick and share what's moving through you. So pause and trust the silence before speaking. Also, just note that there are people on this call that are on the phone, and so it takes them a little bit longer to share. So just giving that space as well. And you can speak more than once, but just allowing the field to move through and allowing other voices to come on. So, all right, here we go. And also understand this call is fairly new, and we're just finding the rhythm as well. So have patience. Okay. So today's call is the 3 eyes open wide. And I'm just going to read into the field and then we'll open this call. Thank you for joining us, and may the magnificence that we've experienced for over 6 years be gifted to all. So, the eyes have to be opened, and the ears have to be unplugged, and the heart has to feel. When you are utterly in rhythm with existence, your eyes are open. And then, for the first time, you see. And that seeing is transformational. That seeing changes you, root and all. That seeing becomes a new vision, a new life, a new gestalt. You are no more confined by your body, no more confined by your mind, and no more confined by anything whatsoever. You are unconfined, infinite, and eternal. And that's a quote by Osho. So with that, we just take a pause, gathering in synergistic emergence, and we open this morning. And I do have my little fairy wand with me, so I'm placing it in the center, this crystalline fairy wand, just so that we remember that humor plays a role here as well, that we stay in the frequency, this home frequency of love. So with that, I invite you to, after you share, to say I'm complete, so we know that someone else can step in, and I'm complete, and open this call. And for those who are new, don't forget to unmute yourself.
So I will pick up the talking stick or wand. I guess this topic of the three eyes reminded me of two things. One, in the weight deck of the tarot, there are certain of the major arcana, such as the Fool, the Emperor, and the Seeker or the Hermit, where there's just one eye that appears on the image. And that one eye represents the ancient one, the ancient of days, of being in the place where we're able to see clearly and truly the depths. And so for me, that's like a doorway, or the third eye in this quotation or this theme, is that we're able to see into the depths of understanding of the ancient one. And so that might be a doorway. And I guess the other two eyes would be us in this world of duality, of opening to our unique expression of that one life, of that ancient of days. And so I feel complete for now. Thank you.
Just want to follow that because I was reminded of this beautiful vision when you mentioned duality into this, and we're talking about the three eyes, and thinking about our physical eyes as right and left, and the two hemispheres and duality, and thinking about our world in duality and masculine and feminine. And I had this vision a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know that it's unique or different, but for me it was a real grounding way of seeing the balance on the planet, and how do we resolve duality, and how do we resolve polarization. And so thank you for this prompt and bringing me back to this vision, because it's literally in the Trinity that we come back into our fullness. And so when I speak of Trinity, and many people have a context of religion and looking at the Trinity through religion, but look at it through the third eye in this moment, and looking at balancing masculine, feminine, right, left, everything that's so polarized on our planet, even politics, as bringing in the connection with great source, with divine consciousness, with that guiding, designing intelligence of the universe, that when we come back into balance, it's a three-legged stool of who we be in duality with the sacred and that higher level of consciousness. And so third eye, really bringing balance back into who we are in our fullness and our completeness and our wholeness. So I'll just drop that in. I could say a lot more, but I'll drop that in because that was a beautiful reminder. Thank you, and I'm complete.
Good morning. This is Talia. Wow. It's amazing the synchronicities that come up on these calls and in our lives lately. It just, and I'm really glad that you mentioned earlier about the third eye as being the higher heart. Also, I can also see the ancient wisdom and the, balancing the dualities. But as far as knowing your heart, that is something that's been really relevant for me lately. That I can see I have to follow my heart. I have to listen. And if I don't, things don't make sense. Nothing will make sense in my life these days. It's I can really see how people go through the dark night of the soul, how people seeking for truth, for and getting a glimpse of it, but then and then you've got to know it. If you don't, it's like, no, what's going on? It doesn't. This life is not right without it. And so please show me the way. And then that heart. Well, that was the message I got last night. I was thinking, is this what it is? The dark night of the soul? But it's come back into the rhythm of your heart was the message I got. You've got to come back to the rhythm of your heart. Listen to that. And coming back into that balance is so important in this time. The message that came up was just so vivid. Just we're not supposed to mention names, but you'll know who you are. The message of this is just such a time that if you don't find that balance, if you don't find that grounding, it's like going into a blazing forest with a paper tutu. I mean, it was really funny image, but it's so true. You just gotta find that balance in these times of craziness and possibility. It's just such a time right now. We need that. We really need. Oh, and thank you so much for being here to share with, because this is such a wonderful grounding energy. And so I'm complete. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, this is Bob Challenger, and I'll pick up the just lean wand for now. Or was it a feather? Or whatever. I just wanted to ask if when people start to talk, if they could identify who they are. I didn't get the identities of the first gentleman that called or the first lady. I heard Talia speak about who she was. So that's all I wanted to say right now, is if you could introduce yourself. It just makes it easier for me to remember who said what. Thank you so much. I am complete.
I'm not sure if this is working. How do I start? This is Joey.
Hi, Joey. Yes, you're
Hi.
on. We're hearing you.
Okay, well, I just saw a blank, so I wasn't sure if I was on or not. I would just like to thank everybody who's here. For some of you I know, and some of you I'm just getting to know, for your commitment, for all of our commitment at this level of bringing forth. And my favorite term is, as most of you know, is the one heart that we all are. And I really appreciate some of the things that have already been said in the fact and the sense of the two eyes of seeing in this level, at this plane, and then the third eye that takes us in all the places that we can go through the third eye. And what's interesting for me is that when the first gentleman spoke up, I was seeing the triangulation between the two and the one, and how we can't navigate anywhere without triangulation. But then I started hearing a diamond. And I realized when this last lady spoke that the diamond is when we come down to our heart center and we have the triangulation going in our upper chakras and then come down to our heart, which brings the diamond essence into everything that we see. And then taking it a step further, for me, it's taking it down into what I call the belly heart. And that's where we ground with our Earth Mother. And I don't know what the picture is, but I just know for me, that has to be part of the equation. So I thank you all, and I'm complete.
I'm going to take the wand. This is Linda, and follow with this diamond. And the vision that I had with the third eye was an experience that happened to me quite a few years ago. And as I was reading Osho, when you're utterly in rhythm with the existence, your eyes are open, and that's transformational. And I was driving in my car, and it was a very cold, snowy, icy day, but the sky was radiant blue, and the sun was shining and sparkling on it, which reminded me of this sparkling diamond that we are. And it was a time of life that was chaotic, difficult. And it seemed in one moment, just the way the sun was shining on the road in front of me and the reflection of all of that white snow and ice, was that I had the perspective from my third eye that I was on the sun looking at the earth, or looking at the earth in the perspective of the entire solar system. And in a moment that everything seemed to open up, especially because I was under stress at the time, was very grounding and very expanding to see with the third eye and to see from a perspective that got me out of my physical existence and into a much larger field. And it was transformational. I knew in that moment I was fine. I knew that I could breathe. I knew that there's so much more than just our little small story of me sitting in that car with all my worries in that moment. And it was truly a transformational, beautiful experience. And I think everything was activated. My third eye, my two eyes, my heart, my belly heart, down into the very soul of why I was even alive. So I I thank Osho for those words of wisdom and for bringing that into this circle today. I'm complete. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I would love to build and expand upon the transition that Linda was just speaking about. I was actually going through a pretty challenging time right around the beginning of the year, December 31st actually, and it got to the point where I had built so much resistance inside of myself that it was just so ready to come to the surface because I was just resisting. And finally, I did. I just surrendered to it, and I just started sobbing. And I just give it like this hard sob, like this deep cry. And when I was in that space, I was also like in that stillness too, that gentle stillness that kind of comes there, and knowing that my divine was with me and supporting me and allowing me this opportunity to just let it go. And in that moment, I kind of said a little prayer, like, I believe in you. I have faith that everything here is serving me. Could you just give me a sign that things are going to ease? And on December 31st, in Ohio, when it's 2 degrees outside and negative 20 with wind chill, there's a butterfly flying around my house. A beautiful yellow butterfly flying at my window. And I took a picture and I shared it with a couple of the groups that I'm in because it was such a powerful moment that the divine manifested that sign for me instantly and allowed me to see that the transition is coming. And it was like in that moment of really knowing that just surrendering to it, just surrendering and allowing and having that faith is all you need. Everything else will manifest the way it should. And with that, I am complete.
This is Deanna. I'll pick up the talking stick, the fairy wand. Thank you, Shelley, for bringing that bit of humor. The butterflies. Wow, they've really been special to me this week as well. I went out to put forth the wildflower crop in my community garden this week, or about a week ago, I planted the seeds, and I've been going out every other day to water those seeds and watch the little sprouts begin to come out of the ground. And every day that I've gone, there's been at least one monarch butterfly that has been cruising along the flower bed, going back and forth. Of course, there's some remaining growth from last year that has survived, and some butterfly weed there for them to hover around. But as I watch them go back and forth, and sometimes they don't even land, it's like they're creating this energy above the ground to encourage that new growth, and they're just putting their essence into that, and they just go back and forth, and maybe every once in a while they might alight on something, but the sense that I got was that they were just infusing their heart into that new growth because they knew that was the potential for the future. And it's just such a wonderful feeling within me, and at a time where I'm finally reaching the end of a cycle, and it's been a really long and arduous cycle through many lifetimes, and I'm feeling that I'm getting to the karmic end of a certain path. And I do feel like the Fool card, the tarot, I feel liberated. I've got my little knapsack. I don't need much. I'm going forth with an innocence for a new cycle and opening to what's out there potentially. And I don't really know where I'm going, and I don't really care because I'm going for my heart. And I'm going for the thing that will make me happy. So I definitely skipping along that path, and I'm that fool card 100%. So with that, I will tell you all, I'm just really grateful to see your faces and get to know you, and looking forward to participating and bringing my energy to the circle. And with that, I will say that I'm complete and pass the fairy wand back to the center. Thank you for listening.
So this is Shelley, darling, and I'm gonna grab this beautiful crystalline talking stick. Just for those who are on the call, who are just coming on, just tap into the weaving of this thread. And as you feel comfortable, unmute yourself and share. The thread that I'm pulling on is this state of innocence. Because when I feel into 3 eyes open, and the word that kept catching me was wide. And within that wideness comes a sense of generosity, gratuity, love, and innocence. And it's a state of consciousness that it feels is very challenging these days, especially when we see so much going on outside that feels so untrue to our being and our consciousness. And we want to react, and we want to stand, and we want to march, and but this consciousness of innocence, how do we hold that as we're, and when I think of innocence, I think of an open heart, this consciousness of this width of the heart that only sees itself inside of each other. It only sees itself. And that's the beauty of this experience that, I'm having right here, right now, is that that sense of widening seems to happen naturally when we're in this field of wholeness, when we're in this experience of unity, this innate sense of joy, which is, that innocence moving, just like that butterfly. I just love that, that sense of, oh, I can slow down. When we watch those monarch butterflies, they're not like whipping, it's not like a hummingbird. Somehow this is, it's just landing and opening its wings and landing and connecting with each flower and opening its wings. And and so with that, I'm complete, and offer the crystalline talking wand to the center.
Hi. Hi. Again, this is Joey. There were 2 things that came up with the last 2 people that spoke. One is the butterfly, and then you mentioned that, Shelley. And I was just reading the Butterfly book by Jose Munoz, who about the historical fiction of a Mayan timekeeper. And I was preparing it to send to some other people that I thought would appreciate it. So butterflies were part of my consciousness today, but I didn't have any specific thing, but it was answered here with the call. So I appreciate that. And that's the other thing, is that there are times I'm just feeling so disconnected from my center, from my heart, from everything. And yet a word like that will come up and I'm thinking of it and I'm not so disconnected after all. So that was really important, because that's happened already so far about 3 times here. So again, thank us. Pass it back.
This is Dinama. And I have an image of something that was from an earlier call today, that we are weaving, we're weavers of our experience. And somehow the vision of a moving shuttle on the tapestry we're creating seems to align more accurately with the energy that is wanting to be expressed in motion, and recognizing that I'm inside that shuttle. I'm the pilot. We're the crew inside the shuttle as we swiftly move in the flow of co-creation, and that it is there, the stillness, the presence of being. To me, that's the culmination of the three eyes wide open, knowing that we're piloting the shuttle. And in that, there's the moment and the movement of co-creation. And just feels very accurate. As we say, it seems like a chaos zone or the unknown zone. And I believe that is the dissolving of the veil. There's no expectation. There's the innocence of receiving as a child would the information that's being, that is in motion, and recognizing the signs we leave along the way to remind us that, wow, that was pretty cool co-creation. I found the following things. Uh-oh, my phone decided to talk back. So there's another message from the field. Anyway, I'm complete.
This is Julie, and I just wanted to drop into the field as I'm listening is really this three eyes wide open in this wholeness piece of what I was hearing is that we are the seed and we are the tree, and we're whole in that. And so then just thinking about this beautiful, there's this urgency with many awakened beings that we have to hurry up and get together and come together and co-create and make it work and unify, and everybody's got to, and it's like, no, we get to just be the tree and be the seed and be the many, many, many seeds that come from being the tree. And then we are a forest. And so I'm just sitting in that feeling, the wholeness of again, that trinity and that balance when we come into our whole being and just be fully who we are as that divine conduit for this beautiful work on the planet. So with that, I'm complete.
This is Henry. A couple things, weaving some of the threads. But initially, the thought of the single eye, I had the inkling that the single eye is where seeing and being are one. So I often think about finding new ways of seeing and being. But when we're in that place of that single eye, that both of them are one. And also related to the butterfly, that Barbara speaks about the imaginal cells within the caterpillar that know exactly how to form the wings of the butterfly. That what was said about the pilot, that actually within the imaginal cells is that pilot, is that inner knowing that brings us to the greater possibility and fullness and unfoldment of that butterfly within each of us. So I feel complete.
And hello all, this is Kathy Roberts. I'd like to pick up the crystalline talking stick. Henry, that's exactly where my feelings were going, all of this talk of the butterfly. And you know, Deanna spoke of the butterfly, and then the next gal, I believe Deanna has arranged a ceremony on the full moon with Jose Munoz. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. And when you were speaking of the imaginal cells, I'm just getting lit up by that some spontaneous glue, cosmic glue, is bringing together all of these open hearts and authentic people that are showing a new way of wholeness. They are looking at this wholeness and being examples of it and bringing our awareness just to a higher level of consciousness. And I am just honored to be in circle with you all. I'm eternally incomplete, but I will return the crystalline talking stick. Thank you for listening.
This is Joey again. Just a quick drop in. Shelley, when you were talking about being in our heart and being in the innocence, and I have seen this thread moving through what everybody has said since that point. For me, the innocence comes from no expectations. And that's what I've been looking at very closely in my life, and noticing how many expectations I have and how I'm always disappointed. But when I have no expectations, I'm in my heart and everything's just flowing perfectly. So I, again, thank us all. I'm just so touched to be here with us. And I am complete. Thank you.
This is Shanti Hart. I always think of my third eye as my inner portable video monitor that I always have with me, that doesn't need to be rebooted or charged. It's always there. And when I stay in that space, it reminds me to move from the place of the witness, which also, especially when I connect that to my heart center, reminds me to see the world through my heart and process things as the witness. And it does help with being able to process things before reacting. And that's what I love about heart resonance calls, is that everyone is encouraged to give some time to process and move from that space. And I love the thread today of the butterfly, because when I was doing my readings and meditation this morning, the subject of resistance came up. I was working with something, some ideas that I wanted to pursue, and why isn't this happening? Why can't I see the result? And resistance popped into my head. And as long as you have any energy going there, then there won't be action. There's just resistance. And of course, butterflies have no resistance. I mean, from the moment that they're in the chrysalis, they just let go. Well, okay, whatever's going to happen, I have no idea. I'm melting into this puddle. Something's going to happen. I'm just going to go with it. And I always think that's why they're so happy when they're flying around, because it's like, oh, look what happened, because I just let go and let it happen. I'm complete.
Hi, this is Shelley, and I want to just allow those people on the phone. I feel like there's been a couple of people that have wanted to share, and it's a little tricky for those of us who are seeing each other. So for those of you that are on the phone that haven't shared, you can take yourself off mute and feel free to share into the circle here and just keep weaving that thread. I'm complete.
This is June. Can you hear me?
Hi, June. If you can put yourself a little bit louder, that'd be great. Come closer.
Okay, I'm on a phone in my car, so I don't know if I can get it any more, but let me try.
No, you're good. You're
Is that
good.
any better?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I've been very moved by what people have been saying this morning, and the idea of the three eyes really brought back an experience we've gone through in the family over the last week. My 16-year-old granddaughter's boyfriend died suddenly when a virus hit his immune system, and it just totally destroyed his body and put him on life support for a couple of days, and then they had to remove him on Sunday, a week ago Sunday. And everyone involved using those three eyes afterwards. My granddaughter and her friends who weren't able to say goodbye, and this sudden dear. The parents really didn't have a chance to say goodbye. What happened after that is just quite amazing. They recognized with their two eyes that he was gone, did the kind of grieving that we all do. But then something else happened for my granddaughter. That is, her boyfriend, she's very empathic and very open to just whatever happens. And her boyfriend began to appear before her to talk to her. And what was so incredible was that he was coming to her and giving her please let them help you. Please let them comfort you at this time. And she openly told the people around her what had happened without any kind of, oh my God, look at what's happening. Just, no, he came today. And he comes often. And I saw her parents, when that happened, would would also talk to him, even though they could not see him or hear him. And she went to school, and well, after coming to my house and asking me if I would do an out-of-body experience, help her do an out-of-body experience to visit him and say goodbye, which we did. She had an incredible experience with it. Went to school, told them about it, and opened their hearts and minds to this experience she was having, along with the everyday how to get along with the death and the grieving. And I never saw a complete parents who opened their home to the friends of their son, who they gave each one of them something special from their son, even while they were going through this awful. They invited my granddaughter and her family to sit in the pew up front with them, because they said that she had helped him die happy, that he was so, he just felt so good about himself and the relationship, and was doing so well. It was just a combination of everyone accepting the death and making the absolute best out of it, and finding new and more incredible ways to deal with the whole situation. And I just, as I listened today, that whole last week came back to me and reminded me how no matter what our age, no matter who we are, if we're willing to look out of that third eye, just amazing. Thank you all so much for all the beauty you brought today, and I'm complete.
Let's breathe with that. How powerful. So with that, if you can just stay on just a couple of minutes more, I just want to make sure that we just want to if anyone who hasn't shared feels that they just want to put their voice in, and just keep it to just really short, because we want to honor the time at the same way. We want to make sure that everyone feels that something has moved through them. So with that, I'll take a pause, and if anyone feels there is something that's really moving that wants to be shared, we'll complete with that. And then we have a very special way of ending this call for those of you that are new. Alrighty. So I want to just thank everyone for coming forth into this and supporting the building of this unified field of love. As you can see, it's just such a conduit for the giving and the receiving of this beautiful creative force that's always moving us into this highest consciousness of wholeness. And we have a special way of ending this call. And for those of you that are just coming and experiencing this call for the first time, want to invite you, and those of you who aren't, on the Good of the Whole Community Facebook page, there's a new posting of more of a document about this practice of resonance that we're experiencing here. And I'll also be posting the guidelines, and so that we're deepening throughout the week if you want to learn more. And with that, I'm going to invite everyone, and this is a little tricky, so just keep that inner connection and unmute yourself. And we love ending with this unified yum. And we just ripple this energy that we're experiencing here out to the planet and to all of her inhabitants. So with this, it goes like this. So just join in the symphony. Yum. Yum. Yum.
Yum. Yum. Yum. Yum.